Yeah.
OTR versus local, which is more sustainable?
Mm. So not
Kirk
earning
kind of,
potential, but sustainability.
I mean, we could touch on sustainability, earning potential. Kirk kind of started this debate,
Hmm.
in the last topic, but sustainability, um, earning potential.
I think the first thing to probably talk about is just the competition, right? Competition
Mhm.
for being local, I would guess, is higher. But
It
just
depends.
yeah,
It
I
depends on
think
which
that's
niche.
something that we can talk about. And I would also like to argue maybe the lifestyle, right? Because you got two different arguments for being over the road. The lifestyle of always being gone from your family, but I know Kirk don't do one pick, one drop, but let's just talk about the guys who want to kind of do B2B, dot to dot, not really worry about interacting with a lot of people versus
Mhm.
when you're doing something like Final Mile, it's more stressful on your body, not
Mhm.
necessarily from driving, but from lifting heavy products. So I think it's a pretty good topic that I'm kind of neutral on, but I think I would say from what I write, most people would rather do OTR than local, at least
Mm,
starting.
Mm-mm.
start.
Most
At
people.
least starting.
Here's the thing. There are people that will choose local over OTR, not realizing that they're putting in more hours and doing more work than an OTR driver. If you're doing one pick, one drop, or two pick, two drop, you see what I'm saying? Because if you got guys, let's say you start 8 o'clock this morning and you got seven stop, and you might go into like maybe let's just say you go to from Jersey to New York, or even if it's stay in Jersey, you might go to South Jersey, you dropping off, and then soon as you finish your load, then you gotta drop off and then pick up, coming back, work your way back to the warehouse. Some of those guys don't get home till sometime they get home 7, 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? If you're working with certain companies, you still do long hours. So this idea where if I stay local, you do less work and home early is not necessarily true. The reason why I love OTR and the reason why and it goes back to the statement, and that's why I was telling Mark early on. I understand why certain people say certain things to creators. People come on my channel and say, well, if you're so good at partial, why you only got one truck? That's
Mm.
how my brother end up in a second truck. That's how my brother end up in his truck. You see what I'm saying? Because soon as they said that, I went out and get a rental truck, keep it for 3 months, and
Damn,
and,
Kirk,
and bought a truck.
you let somebody in the
The point
chat.
that the
Go ahead. Go ahead.
huh?
Go
No,
ahead.
but I'm saying no, but I'm saying if you do OTR, the reason why I bring that up is you're always gonna have a difference of opinion between local and OTR.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? People always gonna challenge who you are as an individual and what you do. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So for me with OTR, I like OTR because I understand a lot of stuff that goes on out here, the people, the rates, the brokers, um, local stuff. I've done that. You get what I'm saying?
Kirk,
It's just
would you say that the earning potential is more capped with OTR or local? I feel like it would possibly be local versus OTR with what you do. I guess it kind of depends on what kind of freight carrier we're talking about, because comparing like a
no
over the road
because
flatbed
oh
versus a go ahead, Kirk.
you no you get capped when you're local because OTR the rate always change.
Mm,
The
that's
rate
fair.
always change. If I get if hold on, if I get a route, if my route if my route is $600 a day, it's gonna be $600 a day. If I
Yeah,
go to a shipper and there's an
Mhm.
extra pallet and I'm charging them $100 per pallet and I'm getting 3, 4 pallet, that's extra money. Because now they got to pay for the extra pallet plus they got to pay for the weight. Worse if I got to cancel a load to get that extra pallet replaced. Now I'm gonna try and get that rate out of those pallets. that I gotta cancel.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But if I can get more money on the truck, or I'm gonna give an example. This happened last week. A broker gave me a load. It was 6 pallet. I went to the warehouse. All 6 pallet was double stock. I told the guy, just put them in. It's 3 pallet space. I said, yo,
Mm.
just put them in. He said, sure, you don't want me to. I said, no, just put it. So now I get paid for 6 pallet space, but only take 3 pallets.
You got like 21 left.
Exactly. So you see what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
when you're local, so now I got space for 3 more pallet plus whatever I have. So the OTR, the money is always growing.
Mm.
There's always room. Then you got layover, then you got detention, then you got all the other things that, besides that. So,
To play devil's
yeah.
advocate, those are the things that we hate about it, though. We hate detention. We hate tow new. Because we know if we get paid tow new on a load with detention, it's probably not going to make as much profit, depending on like how many days we were or hours we were waiting on the actual freight. But I think it's still a good conversation. Oh, got a super chat? It threw me
Shout
off.
out to Costas. Appreciate that. No, I'm just hit the button. You got it.
Oh yeah. It kind of threw me off topic. But yeah, I think it's a good conversation. What did I want to ask you, Kirk? I guess because you keep speaking more on partialing, but I think the conversation would be more of a like maybe a better debate for somebody who just does one pick, one drop, because everybody doesn't partial. Yeah, you can say the opportunity, like the earning potential is higher, but the reality of it is everybody doesn't have the same skill set you have to partial consistently to keep building up that truck. That's somebody with tenure and that knows load planning who's able to do that on a consistent basis versus somebody just starting off one pick, one drop versus somebody doing final mile all day off either gig apps or let's say a Home Depot track
Mhm.
contract. I think that'd be like more of
But let me
a
say
sit.
this. But let me say this. Go back to partial. There are brokers that promote doing partial. The problem is people assume that they cannot take other freight because once they book freight number one, there's going to be a seal on the truck, or even if there's no seal, they got to run it directly, which is not true. I have spoke to brokers on my live stream where I called brokers, people watching me, and I said, you have 6 pallets? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I can't do it for $800. And he's like, well, go look at next load. You
Mm,
see what I'm saying? So there
yeah,
are brokers that tell you can run a next load with the load that you're carrying. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. Well,
Um,
those are freight brokers just trying to get the lowest price possible because if it's not a lot of demand for that freight, let's say they already got a bunch of that supply sitting at a warehouse, they're not really too, they're not too stern about when it needs to be there. It probably doesn't need to be there for another, few weeks. So of course they're going to keep it at a low rate for you to take it for cheaper. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's a different
I,
conversation when you're
I,
talking
I,
about
I,
partial.
I, well, listen, the rate is gonna be based on. The, let's be honest. The rate of any freight is gonna base on it's going to be based on a lot of different things. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's going to be you as a carrier. It's going to be the broker history. It's going to be the shipper. You get what I'm saying? It's going to be
yeah,
where it's going, how much pallet, how much weight. Remember, you're selling time, space, and weight to a broker. You see
mm,
what I'm saying? How long it's going to take you, how much space it's going to take, and how much weight you're carrying. You see what I'm saying? And then not only when you finish sell that, but I just told, like, before we get on the live, I told you guys I have a delivery tomorrow. I
yeah,
picked it up on Friday. So now when it deliver, those stuff goes into the factor of having a load end up with the price that it end up with. So a lot
yeah,
of the times when you hear guys complain about the rate, it's because a lot of things they're not factoring in. You see what I'm saying? And then let's say somebody get the load I get that I'm going to deliver tomorrow, pay $2,200, right? Let's say they get $2,600. They get $400 more than me. The
mhm,
difference with them is they got to pay a dispatcher. I don't.
mm.
You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different things that comes into play when it comes on to be a OTR driver
Well,
versus
can I
being
say this?
local.
Do you think
Hmm.
it would probably be more beneficial for somebody trying to build a fleet to surround it around staying local and having their drivers local, but do labor intensive work, or just go over the road and they're away from their families? Like those are two separate arguments that are both hard to do, but you could argue, even as somebody who did middle mile, that local may be more sustainable for that, but
No,
it
it will
doesn't mean
go
the
back to
earning
the same
potential will
conversation.
be there. Yeah,
No, it will go back to the same conversation Mark just made, because building a fleet now versus back then is different.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? So it goes to what he was just saying. You know, if you it's and this is just my opinion. It's easier to build an OTR fleet than a local fleet.
mm,
As stupid as that might sound.
How is
Reason
that?
why is because the reason why is because you would more find a guy that's gonna go OTR. I'm not talking about the lazy guys. I'm talking about the guys that really wanna, if this
make
is
money.
what they want to do, they really want to come out here and drive a truck and eventually buy their own truck. If you can find those guys, it's easier to build a fleet off of those guys versus buying 10 box truck and get a contract and find a bunch of, you know, all the guys to put in those truck and then have them running it successful. You see what I'm saying? That's just from my observation how it is. You see what I'm
I
saying?
think
Cause let's be realistic. You seen the video, Mark. You seen the video, Mike. How many
Mhm.
videos on YouTube about people switching from Prime, uh, um, um, Warner, Walmart, you know, all the videos. One guy might switch 5 different companies
Yeah,
in 1 year on YouTube. You see what I'm saying? So if I can catch those guys that keep switching up and I'm building a fleet, it's easy for me to recruit one or two of those guys, put them in my fleet. You see
they're
what I'm
gonna,
saying?
but see, that's gonna be hard for you. But that goes against your
competition.
argument because sustainability. You won't be able to
Yeah,
sustain because those guys are seat hopping. They're gonna seat hop you too. They're
yeah,
gonna seat hop you
Eh,
too. So it's gonna be hard
right,
to
correct,
in order for you to
correct.
grow and sustain, you have to keep drivers. If you keep having drivers leaving, then you can't grow because you're having to replace the drivers in the current trucks that you have.
Right. But at the same time, what I'm saying is I'm talking about if I can get guys who are not jumping all over the place, but if I can get them just the fact that they are willing to come out here and work initially, then I can build a fleet from that
yeah. I think you're
versus
gonna need some
It,
really
have
it,
10 trucks,
hungry drivers,
have
though.
10 trucks
it,
and stay local.
it's going to be harder for you than it is for a mega carrier. So,
Yeah,
like somebody said in the chat, and I was finna go that way. If they're leaving and seat hopping mega carriers, it's a reason why they're doing it. Well, you can't
offer
provide
some
the
incentives,
benefits and right, you know what I'm saying, the incentives that they can. You got some guys that just seat hop for the sign on bonus.
bonus. Yeah,
You
they do
finna
that
throw
for
a
real.
cat. You finna throw a cat a dime. Throw them 2,500
Yeah, but
each quarter.
yeah, but that's stupid because every time they jump from one carrier to carrier, some of them are leaving the contract that they signed with those carrier. Like they might sign a contract with Prime. You see what I'm saying? So now they can get higher at the next company because they have to pay for that CDL. Let's say they clear that CDL, then
We're
you
not
know
talking
there's
about the
always
guys that
something.
we're not talking about the guys that owe because the carrier
But
sent them
that's what
the
I'm saying.
CDL.
You got
We're talking
guys
about the
who are
guys
doing that.
that not the guys that owe the school owe for their CDL. We're talking about guys that are free and clear that can go and come as they please. We're talking about those guys.
They are
Hmm.
trying to crack down on those guys. When I learned this in CDL school, that you have like a driver profile, kind of like how Carrier 411 can look at a
Exactly,
carrier and their
exactly.
background. They'll know if you're seat hopping at this point. But it doesn't mean that they're not still doing it, because right now it's still a shortage of drivers for mega carriers, so they'll kind of take whoever they can that's qualified. Um, to kind of defend both of y'all points on that. It's a
I
sticky
mean,
situation, honestly.
it's always gonna be, again, what part of trucking people really want to come in and how serious they're gonna take it. You see what I'm saying? So if you're just coming into trucking because you're in a money grab, you might make some money here and there, but it's not gonna last because it's just so many pieces put together to make trucking really what you want it to be and be successful in it. It's just it always changing. The weather change, the people change. You're talking about different state with different rules, different DOT officer. You might get pulled over in Alabama, he's cool, but in Arkansas, he's an asshole. You get what I'm saying? The
Yeah, that's
Tennessee might give you a warning about something, but guess what? Texas give you a ticket for the same thing. It's just so you're dealing with different personality, different attitude. It's a whole different thing. So when you come out here, the reason why a lot of people complain so much and don't last out here is because they don't understand the different parts that put together that make you a successful OTR driver. I understand it. I don't curse brokers out. I don't get into these people's face and argue with these people at these warehouses, but people do. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? I don't pull up at Amazon and curse the intercom guy out because, listen, I'm here to make that, and I always said this. That $2,500 I'm picking up, that gonna make me be $9,000. I'm not gonna let nothing interrupt that. You see what I'm saying? It just depends on where you want to go, and that's what I'm saying. In trucking, you really have to understand what part of trucking you come in and how you take it serious. You see what I'm saying? Same
I,
thing with a lot of these local drivers.
yeah. I was gonna say, I
You
think
might
for
get
OTR though, your mind got to kind of be built different versus your body being built for it, because it's a lot of mental stress, anxiety, being away from your family, being away from. I don't have kids, but your kids that I
Mhm.
don't think you can really explain unless you kind of been through it. Sleeping at truck stops for a few years or just being in and out of hotels. Kirk, I know you can speak on this because you've been
I
doing it
take
for so long.
I take my kids. Well, I take my kids on the journey.
Well,
My
yeah, that
kids see what I
some
do.
guys do that. But think of the guys who
Right.
may not
So
even be. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, so let me explain that. I take my wife and my kids on the journey with me. Mark
Hmm.
met my wife and kids. We were in Chicago with the truck. You get what I'm saying? So I think when it comes on to the family aspect of trucking or the wife, my wife can't be without me. I think that once, and this is just my opinion. Some people can, some people can't. But I think once you, if you're gonna start a business, one your partner have to understand just like you what y'all getting into,
Yeah,
because there are so many people that get excited to start business as a couple, but then turns around can't even stand each other because they can't dispatch a truck on their own because they get into these fights and argument. You see what I'm saying? On the kids part, I take my kids and truck ride with me, whether I'm local or I decide to bring them OTR. Why? Is because once I leave, they already have an idea of what I'm out here doing. I give them that experience. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the time when people, can't do it or can't stay out here or it just doesn't work for them, like I said, it's just different, multiple different reasons. You get what I'm saying? But
yeah,
yeah, I do take them out and let them have an idea what daddy do when he's not home. You see what I'm saying? And then now, and I'm gonna say this: no, it should be. And I'm not saying it's easier, but we are in an era now where technology, my kids can see me.
mm,
We can video call. I can show them where I'm at. I can talk to my wife, and so it's. I still
that's a little
don't
different.
get why some people are so hung up on not being around their partner, and when there's so many things now that let us even feel like we're next to each other, but we're really not next to each other. You see what I'm saying? That's just my opinion.
Well, we're social people with different senses. So I know you can see, hear me, but it's something about physical touch. You do want to feel your girl sometimes. You know what I mean? You want to hug and kiss your kids. So I don't think a lot of people that's what I'm saying have that mentality for that delayed gratifications that you have by making the type of money you do. So they would kind of sacrifice that high earning potential in order to see their kids every night, even if that means busting up their back and pause, but and doing the harder work that it takes to be local. You know, I think they both have their strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I disagree with both of y'all. I just been
Think
letting y'all
so.
talk. Yeah,
What's up,
yeah,
Mark? Go
yeah.
in.
No, I ain't gonna go in because I just disagree. You know, I think that local is way more sustainable than OTR. It's a lot more profitable too. A
Yeah.
lot more profitable. And then you get into certain niches like moving. It's
hmm
not even. You can't even compare.
What's the volume of like
But no,
competition
but
for
wait,
moving?
but stop, but see, no, because here's the thing, Mark,
Can't compare, Kurt.
and
You
I'm not,
cannot compare. You
and
can't
I'm not,
compare.
no, I'm not talking about, I'm not when you talk about local versus OTR,
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand that moving is a specialty
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
part of trucking, correct? Because
Yeah, most spec.
you just said, and I know this, you know this.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta train people not only to
Mm-hmm.
move their furniture, but you gotta train
Cargo
people how
plane.
to talk to people. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta train people how to talk to people. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
train people how to look around certain people.
Right.
So there are things that there's certain training intel.
Right.
OTR local, right? You're 100% correct. It's gonna be more profitable because the harder the work, the more fine tuned and more professional you get at what you're doing, the rate is higher. You see what I'm saying? This is why back in the days, truckers was one of the most respected uh, um, um, career to have because truckers was respected back then and the whole shebang. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about local work, not moving, you're
That's
right.
local. That's local. It's
Yeah,
local.
but
It's
there's
specialized,
but
and but you and you can
that's
do
a specialty part of local.
it's special. It's special. It's specialty.
But
It's
Mark, not
specialty in
everybody's
OTR
gonna
too.
do it.
But they want that bag though. Now let's talk.
But see,
Everybody want the
okay,
bag, but they don't
okay,
want to do the work. So you do the easy work.
you're
You're
right,
gonna get an easy
exactly,
bag. You want to do the hard work. You're gonna get that heavier bag. Okay.
right.
If
What
you
would you
want a
So
do?
that's
heavy
what
What
I'm
would you
bag,
do
saying.
starting at 45, Mark?
listen. That's a
You know what I'm
different
saying?
conversation. See, that's one of them conversations you trying to set me up where I'm finna upset people at 45. Because
No,
then I'm
but
gonna ask
see,
the question. Hold on, because I'm gonna ask a question, and some people gonna
hmm
take offense to it. I don't want to do that this show. That's a
Yeah.
show where I gotta be mentally. Listen, I'm finna
Yeah.
piss some
Locked
folks
in.
off, and I ain't locked
hmm
in right now
I
because I'm
got you.
gonna
I
ask
got
you a question. Why we starting at 45? What
you.
was
You
you
right.
doing the last? What you doing the last 20 years? What's been going on the last 20 years? See, because somebody gonna look at it like I don't want to
Yeah.
have that conversation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm
That's
just
one of the
going based on the
conversations where
analytics.
I gotta be mentally prepared for it. I gotta be ready. I don't want
Yeah.
to have that
I
conversation.
mean, I mean, to
So
me personally, it's gonna be personal preference. Whatever some people, it's just personal preference. If they like OTR, they're gonna do OTR. If they
but we
like
ain't talking about
local, they're
personal
gonna do
preference.
He, he talking about being
We
sustainable.
talking about sustainable, and y'all wanted to add in profitability. So I think
it.
local. Now we can go in because it's a few different things. You can go like local from a curbside perspective, palletized freight, dropping it off at the curb or
Hmm.
dock to dock. You can go um, uh, 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 big and bulky white glove, final mile,
Hmm.
and then we can go specialized. We could go moving. Uh, I think from a uh, um, I think all three perspectives is better than going OTR. I think it'll be easier for me to sell a guy to come to work for me from a local perspective, a solo one man, 10, 12, 13 stops a day,
Shit.
palletized freight, right? I don't have to worry about mentally finessing them to go over the road and lie to them and tell them I'm gonna bring them home every 3-4 weeks, knowing I really don't want them to do it to come home. I need them out. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll be an easier sale, right? Now, from that perspective. Now, from the big and bulky perspective, it's an easier sale because I got more margin to play with. So I'm gonna sell them because I can pay them handsomely. Because I'm gonna do what's in my best interest initially, setting up my business where I'm gonna keep my costs low because I understand what I'm doing, and I'm gonna pay them handsomely. I
Yeah, I
understand I'm
think
gonna
it.
make my money at scale.
Yeah, it makes
Now,
money at scale. But as a driver, banging up your
Mhm.
body versus banging up your equipment, do people really want to do it?
this why we gonna pay them handsomely. See, we gonna we gonna mask that with the
Hmm.
pay. See, it's all about how you gonna sell. You got to be able to sell it. I'm
Yeah,
telling you how to sell it. With the moving, easier sale. Why? I don't have no middleman. I don't got no 3PL. I'm making 100% of the revenue, and everything that I sell to the customer is at a markup. I'm making money off the labor. I'm making money off the materials. I'm making money off the truck. So I can pay even more handsomely, and then I sell them on the tips. So they already making a couple $100s off the labor, and each person getting somewhere between, on average, $20 to $50 a move per person. You
mm,
see what I'm saying? So that could turn into another 100, 150, $200 a day, depending on the clientele, how many moves, so on and so forth. What a person is going to earn in an 8-hour day, a mover is making that just off tips. You see what I'm saying? So I'm
yeah.
selling it. I'm selling it. It's hard work, but a guy making $300-$400 a day.
See, and that's what
You
I
see what
was
I'm
saying.
saying?
Like you're still coming from the perspective of it because you did it at scale as a business owner. But if somebody has one truck, they're the owner operator, and they're doing all the hard work. Which one do they want to do in this market at 40, 45? The average.
Why they got to be at 45? Why you using that
Like
age?
that's the average. 35 to 45 is the main demographic watching YouTube.
No, it's not.
That's my
My
demographic.
my That's
My
your demographic.
60%. Yeah.
My 60%, 30% is 25 to 34. Another
Mhm.
30% is 35 to 45 for my channel. So 60% is 25 to 45. So
Okay.
I still got 30%, 25. So for a 45-year-old individual, obviously I'm gonna tell them about the how labor intensive it is. And if
Yeah.
you watch my content, it's damn near like I'm trying to scare you. And technically I am, because it's that serious. So I want you
Yeah.
to know how intense it can get. Every day is going to be different. Every job is going to be different, and every single setting obstacle is going to present challenges, right? Uh, so I'm going to let that 45-year-old individual know that, and I'll probably push them towards maybe a curbside, which is now is hard to get into. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Um, Now that 25-year-old through 34, I started at 30. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna push them more in the direction of the more labor intensive work because they're younger, they can handle it, and
I agree with that.
it's a bigger payout. You know what I'm saying? I'm the type of person, I'm not gonna shy away from hard work. Me personally, I want to go where the bag is because the exit will be quicker. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Can I
Versus,
add to that point too?
go ahead.
The guy who's 25 to 30 may have a family that's in house, whereas the guy who's pushing 40, 45 may already have a kid in high school, don't really have any babies running around, most of them, at least at this age. So
Mhm.
they probably wouldn't mind going out how Kirk does. I think he has somewhat younger kids. That doesn't really matter, but I think that can kind of add some type of clarity to the
Not
situation and kind of
necessarily.
make
No,
more
I
not
don't
sense.
think
necessarily.
so.
You
No,
don't think
not
so?
necessarily because
No.
no, because because have a kid is a kid. Um, the
True.
attachment to a kid is the attachment to your child. I think it all boils down to your mindset and just what part of trucking you wanna do. You
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? Um, I like OTR because for me it's a less of everything and I control everything. I know why most of those guys don't come out here and stay out here and complain a lot is because they don't control everything. You see what I'm saying? I book my own load, I make my own schedule. I leave Saturday, I can be back home by Friday. You see what I'm saying? Not everybody have that option, or they have that, like somebody said they're all here 3 weeks now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I can come out here, make that money and go back home and I'm okay. But guys who are not like that, then yeah, I
What
see what Mark is
what
saying. It's better you stay local because you coming out here, it's not going to be profitable. You're ripping up the equipment, you're bursting the tire, all the shit that comes with the OTR issue. Where if you stay local, it's going to be better, more profitable, less gas, less
yeah,
toll, less wear and
yeah.
tear. You sleep home
And
every night. You see what I'm saying? And your
and
profit margin,
and
is
go
up.